But welcome everyone. If you have any questions for our amazing students who have graduated from the Career Level Up program or have worked with me as part of their career coaching, please just pop them in the chat. And we're going to get to as many of these questions as we can. But let me kick things off. Lucy, maybe I'll just start with you. When you think about yourself before going through the 8-week live coaching program versus now, what would you say has been the biggest transition, the biggest transformation for you?
So the biggest transformation for me is that I didn't realize how much more imposter syndrome I had and that I couldn't get through that alone. I really valued having a community where I could really share and being offered like a perspective that has direction, that wasn't just random, like add resources on having when I have like the emotions around imposter syndrome or not knowing how to navigate certain like political realms in my workplace, especially with a lot of male dominated workplaces. So having that community really helped me understand what resources, what perspectives will serve me and what would just be an opinion that will make me more emotional.
Yeah, the community piece is always, because when I built the program, I knew the community would be valuable, but I actually thought the content would be the most important thing. But it's interesting you say that, Lucy, because I think for a lot of people, actually that connection with the other members of the cohort is one of the most important things. Carmen, a lot of the reasons why people would join the program and why people would choose to invest in the Career Level Up is because they've got a goal, like maybe they're a VP and they want to become an SVP or an EVP, or maybe they're getting paid, $100,000 and they really want to hit 130. For you, what was the biggest jump that you observed? If you reflect, I know that you were sharing with myself and Kim recently, where you were versus now. What's been that biggest change for you that you're really excited by?
So for me, the Level Up program really gave me some concrete steps I could take to increase my salary, and I had a really, really good year. I received promotion, and I received 2 separate pay increases over the past 12 months. So my salary is pretty much like almost $60,000 more at this point in time than it was at the same time last year, which is mind-boggling to me. And I'm just, I think a lot of the advice and the stuff that you receive, you're just like, it's not earth-shattering stuff, but when you put it all together, it's this like giant light bulb. Oh, okay, this is what I need to be doing. You might be doing bits and pieces of it, but putting it all together as a comprehensive package. And what Lucy said previously around the imposter syndrome, I work in a very male-dominated engineering and design company. I don't have an engineering background, so I feel that I'm a project manager, and so dealt with a lot of imposter syndrome and sort of really unpacking a bit of that, but also starting to really appreciate what my superpowers are at work and what it is that I bring to the table that's really unique and makes me a valuable contributor to the team and to the company. And I was able to use that as part of, I am worth paying more. I'm worth more to you here and retaining me and my knowledge than I, seeking else opportunities outside the company. And so really managed to increase my salary, which has made me a lot more comfortable, especially with the, rising price of cost of living and everything else that's happening globally.
Yeah, that's so huge. Congratulations, Carmen. I'm so it's so exciting, right? And it is kind of life-changing, isn't it? Any pay raise we're here for, obviously, and from a return on investment perspective, if you can get an extra $2,000 in your pay or benefits, then you're a net even from the investment in the program. But what I loved about what you were saying, that's like a 30x return, really.
Yeah, and it's
on the cost of the program.
It's not a one-time thing either. I've got these skills now, because I've gotten 2 pay rises this year. They've told me look, you're not eligible for a merit increase at the end of the year, but we do pay increases in January and July. So I know, and we've just done our performance evaluations for the year, and I got really, really good performance performance evaluation feedback. And so I'm just like, great, stick that in my back pocket. Come May, I'll be having a conversation with my supervisor about, I would like to talk about my pay rise and my increase. And I think, you know, earn X, Y, and Z, and I've contributed these things. And, you know, the tip Meggie, one of the tips Meggie gives is around tracking your sort of weekly successes and your weekly wins. And I've been doing that, and it's made it so much easier this year to do like a self-evaluation when you know what you've done and you know what you've brought to the table, as opposed to sort of sitting there and scratching your head and scrambling and really trying to come up with, you know, why you deserve, why you earned something.
Yeah, no, that's so exciting. And the other thing that Carmen said, and welcome to everyone who's just joining us, we've got 4 amazing graduates of the Career Level Up program, and someone who's worked with me in a one-on-one capacity joining us today to take open questions and give their frank and fearless, honest feedback. One of the things that Carmen said was that it's also, you know, the program is not rocket science. And I know what Carmen means, like, it's not, you know, I'm not going to teach you a crazy algebra formula that's very complex and, oh my gosh, you know, you need to spend hours figuring it out. It's just more putting all of those pieces of the puzzle together. When you package that up, that is game changing. And the reason I love that you said that, Carmen, is because it's doable for anyone. Do you know, like, you don't have to feel like it's not applicable for you. You don't have to feel like the stuff that we're going to talk about over the 8 weeks is like so hard and you'd need a PhD to do it, because it's just not. Like, it's very doable, which is a good thing.
And it's doable in chunks as well. So it's like, if you don't, you know, if you don't feel ready to do something, whether it's have that conversation with your boss about salary and pay, like, you can start to build some of the things up and build up to that. It doesn't have to be at the end of the 8 weeks, right? All right, I'm marching into the office. Like, it's, you can sort of put that on hold, really cement some of the things that you're learning, and go back and review the materials when it is the right time to have those conversations.
Yeah, I love that. Yvonne, I wanted to ask you your experience, because you and I, you're a member of the PepTalkHer community. You're a member of the mastermind and the Career Leveler, and you and I have worked together in a one-on-one capacity too, from a one-on-one coaching perspective. I wanted to ask you, you know, you really have had an amazing career in a very large company, and you had a goal that you were working towards in terms of your career confidence and taking those next steps. What's the biggest shift that you've noticed in yourself? And indeed, I know your family and friends have noticed in you and your behavior over the past sort of 3 or 4 months.
So the first thing I will say is that I got the promotion that I wanted from senior director to VP at Salesforce, which is very exciting. So that was one of the goals that I was working on with Meggie. And part of that was working, I would say, also in imposter syndrome, but working on really identifying what were my skills and the skills that I could bring to the table that made me different. And then at the same time, this was really great for me, how to speak in a certain way or how to communicate in a certain way. You know, I'm used to being a lawyer and I communicate a certain way, but Meggie really pushed me to communicate in a way that I don't know, Meggie, what I'm trying to say, but you know, it's just a different form of communication where it's, I don't know, Meggie, what would you say?
Yeah, it's a good point. It's more, I think one of the things we've noticed, Yvonne, was like when we've been working together is like, I think it's also about permission to know, and Carmen sort of touched on this too, and Lucy as well, like your strengths and your power, and actually leading from a place of authority and from a place of power, and assuming that they will say yes, and assuming that, of course, they would give you that promotion and the raise, rather than kind of being more on the back foot and sort of asking for permission. I feel like, Yvonne, you've kind of moved from asking for permission to more like asking for opportunities. You've kind of, you're not in the back seat anymore. That's what I've seen in you.
Yes,
I don't know if that's what you would say.
That's exactly what I wanted to say. So thank you for summarizing that. But I've noticed a difference. My husband has noticed a difference as well. And now our goal is, well, while I love my role, I love my promotion. Now I'm working with Meggie to get a role within the business. And my goal is to make SVP within the next 2 years. So it's been fantastic. It's like night and day, absolutely, for me.
Yeah,
Hope that
I'm
helps.
so happy to hear that. And we were so excited when Yvonne got the promotion. We were like, yeah, it was so, because it's a big milestone to celebrate, whether we get a pay increase, whether we get a job opportunity, a board role, a promotion, it's all worth celebrating. And that's one of the things I love about the private Slack channel as well for the course, is that, you're connecting with, yes, your cohort, but also the alumni in there too, to celebrate the wins. We had someone from 2 cohorts ago. She's just started her own business. She just sent her first invoice, Kira. So that was something to celebrate this week too. Leah, you were in the program, I want to say a year ago, I think. For you, what was the biggest sort of transformation that you feel like you experienced during the program?
It's a great question.
Since, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a great question, Meggie. And I want to say I probably graduated maybe just over a year ago. A few different things. If we're going to get into monetary situations, I was in the process of negotiating a promotion and a pay raise while I was in the program itself, which was really helpful for me. Really to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. I feel like that was something that was really important to me, both in my professional and personal universes, and sitting there and having the conversation, and then going back to the table and having a secondary conversation, and then going back and having a third conversation. And those are kind of the important things, right? It's not just though having that initial conversation when you're going through, trying to advocate for your worth, etc. But my then manager, who has now become a very close friend and mentor of mine, coming to the table, having an initial conversation, and then getting to a place where we were able to increase the amount for my promotion by 100%. So 100% increase, which was a very large amount. And then 6 months later, this same manager put me up for another promotion and pay increase for I want to say altogether, it was over $35,000 in raises over the past year, which was really great. And again, now she is a dear friend of mine who is someone who really supports me. So I feel like really kind of taking the care to understand how to negotiate in all of those different situations and having a long-term mindset in play really was beneficial. And then again, I think recognizing how to overcome imposter syndrome, recognizing when you're experiencing imposter syndrome, and recognizing that you're not alone in that space, and that there's a community of people who have or are going through the same things as you, be able to bounce things off of. That was very helpful.
Yeah, it's so interesting that you said that, and congratulations on the pay increases, Leah. But yeah, knowing that you're not the only one, and that you're not the only one feeling like this, that's hugely powerful in and of itself, I think. And to know that there's other people in your industry, and like I know, you're on the call today, we've got people who are in tech, we've got people who are in the engineering space, the legal space, a whole bunch of different industries. From the point of view of the program, it really doesn't matter what industry you're in or what your job title is in the industry. It really matters that you've had at least 5 years professional working experience, so that you kind of get the lay of the land and can sort of just really understand the concepts that we're talking about, particularly when it pertains to, office politics and that kind of stuff. But other than that, it's really applicable in any industry, whether you're in a banded industry, whether you're in an open negotiation pay industry, whether your industry is struggling right now. One of the questions that we get a lot that comes through, and Lucy, I'd love your thoughts on this, is like, firstly, like, how onerous was the time commitment? And did you find that was doable and not kind of too much, I suppose, the 60-minute coaching session every week for the 8 weeks? And then there's a new actually thing that we've introduced, which is an open Q&A, a 30-minute open Q&A every week too. So it's basically 90 minutes for this cohort through till the end of the year. Did you find that was too wild, Lucy? Because you've got a really busy job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think what I ended up doing was I told my boss, obviously, that this is what I'm doing, and this is something that I think will really help with my executive presence. And I did also mention, it's like, I need this because there's not many people like me in my workplace or my industry, and this is something I want to commit my time to, because you need to carve out space for that. So I really kind of set the intention. And of course, like Meggie, I think you helped me with some of that. I don't know if you remember. But I think you also helped me with like a letter to kind of pass to my boss, so then he understands this is what I'm doing. And even though I was I was kind of like running around quite a bit. There was a time where I think I was preparing to do a trade show as well. So it was just very hectic, but I just understood that I needed to make time for myself and rest, because when I don't function right, it's not going to work. And I think successful people communicate what they need. And that's what I learned over time. So I had to communicate up to my boss. I, over time, learned that I can communicate to even my team to tell them, like, this is what I need to do to like take care of myself. I think that shows good leadership. So no matter how busy you are, it's about setting the priorities. It's like, what is the priority? Rest is part of the sum of my entire job. Rest and being proactive on self-care. And this is self-care for me. This is really kind of taking myself into a new direction, getting perspective and reflecting. That's part of what I need to do my job right.
Yeah.
And then my boss also paid for it. So I think that's great.
Yeah, and I'm going to pop a link in the chat as well to Lucy's point. So some people are really transparent with their boss and they say, I'm doing this professional development program that's really focused on leadership. Some people don't want to tell their boss that there's such a big focus on pay increases. Some people do. Some bosses are fine with that. It really depends. But I'm going to pop a link in which really speaks to that you can send to your employer if you need it, that will position the content really with that focus on leadership, you know, because that is a big part of what we're teaching as well, is how you can position yourself as a unique member of the team, how you can better understand yourself and thus better be a leader and a better contributor to the business. So I'll send you that through as well. Some people don't tell their employer about it. Some people join the calls in their lunch break. Some people watch the recordings back later. Everything is recorded. So it's really up to you. For those of you in North America, it's after work hours anyway. And for those of you in the Australia region, it's during lunchtime. So, but yeah, it's up to you. But a lot of people do block out the time in their calendar so that they can join that live call. But it's really up to you. One of the things, Carmen, I think is another barrier for people to joining the program is the cost, right? So it's, I want to get this right. It's $397 a month for 6 months if you want to invest, or you can pay up front in one payment for $19.97. So around just a little under $2,000, which is a lot of money, right? Carmen, was that a barrier for you when you were thinking about joining? Was that something that you kind of were worried about?
I'll be honest, I hemmed and hawed about it. And I think I did probably the 5-day sort of thing several months before I actually did the level up. I probably skipped an intake because I was just like, oh, is it worth it? I just, yeah, the cost is, and again, paying in Australian dollars, it was even more than $2,000, probably close to 2.5. And I, hemmed and hawed, and I thought, oh, is it worth it? And I'm kicking myself now for not taking it earlier and being able to sort of make that money back, if you will, through pay rises faster.
Yeah.
But I think definitely the return on investment was worth it for me. And I can understand that it is a significant amount of money, especially in today's economy, but I guess it's that sort of the investment in yourself, similar to what Lucy was saying about self-care and taking care of yourself. Like this is actually an investment in yourself. Like if you don't back yourself, how do you expect anyone else to? And if you don't feel confident doing that, like you definitely get the skill sets and the tips and the tricks around how to identify what it is about yourself that is worthy and unique and saleable, and what you bring to the table so that you can you back yourself really, really well.
I appreciate you sharing that, Carmen. Thank you. And for those of you who are just joining, from Carmen's perspective, the investment in the program, she 30x'd that investment in terms of the increases in salaries that she negotiated. Leah, I think you 15 to 20x'd your investment at least. Mm-hmm. Was it a big, you were a bit umming and ahhing about the cost as well, right? When you thought about it, because like almost $2,000, it's not nothing, right? From an investment perspective, it is worth it, but it's hard to know that before you've gone through it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And similar to Carmen, I had previously gone through a 5-day challenge and kind of hemmed and hawed. And I had friends that have gone through the program before and had communicated to me how beneficial it had been to them. And it was one of those moments where I had to kind of look in the mirror and say, if you don't take control over what you want, no one else is going to do it for you. And really kind of feeling okay with taking a chance on myself and supporting myself, and really putting an investment in myself. Again, I've certainly many times X'd over the investment that I put in. And then, while I was in the process of getting promoted, I also had mentioned that I was doing this course, and it was really helping with executive presence and all of these things. And my company ended up actually offering to pay for it. So I went ahead and just did it on my own. The company paid for it in hindsight, and then also set me up with an executive coach that they paid for after the fact, because they were so impressed that I was taking the initiative to better myself and to better myself for the company as well. So very, very grateful for that.
That's awesome. Yvonne, from your perspective, tangibly, there's a job that you've applied for recently. There's people in the business that you've proactively connected with recently. Do you think you would have had the confidence and you would have had the skill set to do that prior to sort of partnering with PepTalkHer? Do you think that's really sort of pushed you out of your comfort zone to take that next step in your career?
Yes, I really feel like you've pushed me out of my comfort zone, and it's a strange place to be in. But because of that, I have been able to build some connections that otherwise I wouldn't have been able to. And working with Meggie gave me that courage, and just knowing that it's going to be okay, even if I don't get the job, but it's what the experience, what it's worth, what you learn, and the connections that you build. So it's been very helpful to put things into perspective for myself, to not get, just not to get so caught up in trying to get the next role, but really making sure I'm intentional about what I'm looking for, and making sure that the next step is exactly putting me on the trajectory that I want. So that was fantastic.
Yeah, I love what Yvonne's just said there about being intentional about that trajectory. Because sometimes, you land a job and then it's 8 years later and you're like, wait, what? Where am I? Because, stuff happens and people promote you to jobs that you may or may not like, or family or friends encourage you to take roles that you may or may not like, or that, might not be super aligned with your values and where you ultimately want your career to go. And so the awesome thing I think as well about the Career Level Up is that it's 8 weeks of focusing on you and your career, and we spend a lot of time focusing on our dogs, our kids, our colleagues, our team, and we often forget to focus on ourselves. So that's one of the things that I think is great about the program too, that intentionality and that accountability every week. A lot of people join the program and then have their employer reimburse them as well. So I'm going to pop a link in the chat now to a letter that you can use, a template that you can use. That will help you, ask for that reimbursement as well. Sometimes it can take months for that to be approved, etc. So I would encourage you to join, because the doors to the program do close on Friday, and we only have 50 seats available for this program. So I'll put the link as well to join the program into the chat. We've also got the brilliant Siska here, who's also been through the program. Siska, do you want to just quickly share for everyone who's joining today, if you think about Siska before the program versus now, what would you say is the biggest shift that happened for you from a personal and professional perspective as a result of the program?
Sorry, I'm trying to unmute myself. Hello, everyone. I was in the same cohort with Carmen, and at that time, I was in a crossroad. I think Carmen probably and Meggie would recall whether I want to continue with my work and set up business at the same time. And now, fast forward, I changed job, so I get pay increase, not much because like Maggie said, I'm in industry with the bandwidth, but it's still, I had written on the investment that I put in for the course, and also about to launch the business as well at the same time. So everything is happening. I thought at that time I had to choose one or another, which is not. Like now I have to at the same time, and waiting for it to flourish. What I experienced during the course was I know how to set up boundaries, and again, like how to look after myself when no one else also at work, everyone busy with what they're doing, and then we need to stand up for ourselves. And to me was really, as a single mom, I need that extra day to work from home. So I actually request that. And I maintain that I maintain that until now. So that is my boundaries. I need to work from home, even though COVID in Australia already passed. And I keep requesting that because that's good for my mental health. So yeah, that's from my point of view. It's that confidence for showing up as a leader. To me, that is something that people need to learn. A lot of time we just follow what people's agenda, not our agenda, and then we just get drift into something that
So true.
we don't know. Like Maggie says, like 7-8 years later, I wasn't in the same spots for 10 years, but that's pretty much what it is, because so much thing that's going on, you just continue from one task to another task to another task, then 10 years gone. And then you start looking back thinking, that's my lifetime of 10 years, a decade of my life. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, Siska, thank you so much for sharing that. And, you know, the point that Siska makes is a really good one around boundaries. And having the confidence and the structures and frankly the scripts to put in place boundaries and to do it in a way that you're not going to be perceived as high maintenance or a bitch. Because frankly, let's be real, that's something that a lot of us are concerned with. And again, we know because of the backlash penalty that women are treated differently when we do ask for more money, when we do ask for new jobs, when we do ask to have flexible working conditions. There's a stigma and there's an unconscious bias that exists. So in fact, unfortunately, you know, we do need different skills and we do need to learn how to ask and handle this in a different way to our male counterparts. It's not fair. It's not reasonable. And I hope that we can get to a point where that's unnecessary and where, you know, the career level up, there's no point of it because everyone is paid fairly and because, you know, there's no need to negotiate your pay, etc. But the reality of the world that we live in right now is that there is a 15 to 20% gap in what men and women are earning. That's the first thing, right? We know that there is the backlash penalty that we are subject to, whether our boss is male or female. It's harder to be a woman and to ask those questions. And so one of the things that I'm really proud of is the tools and the curriculum in the course that really help you address that so that you do put your best foot forward so that you're not going to get damaged in the process of asking. Because you can DIY this, right? Like you can Google a lot of this stuff, you can watch a couple of YouTube videos and that will be helpful. But, you know, it could be damaging as well. If you put it in place in the wrong way, it can be really damaging. And I've seen that happen before where people have had offers rescinded or they've actually said, well, don't worry, we won't renew your contract then. So that's exactly what we don't want to happen, you know? And so the purpose of the cohort and the weekly coaching with me is to navigate you through that so that you get the successful outcome, the 60,000 extra that Carmen got, the 35,000 extra that Leah got, the promotion that Yvonne got, you know, the success that Lucy and Siska have had as well in their careers. If you've got questions, you can pop them in the chat and we're going to answer as many of these as we can for you. The other thing I'll say about boundaries is for everyone who joins by close of business today, there's also an extra bonus. It's like a video series with a bunch of Fortune 100 female executives that you get access to if you join the program by COB close of business today. It's the Boundaries Without Being Seen as Bitchy video series, and also the Salary Negotiation Bible, which has 40 different negotiation scenarios and full scripts for you to use role playing if it's an in-person conversation, or also via email as well. So the reason that we give out those bonuses is just to sort of help from a decision point of view to make a decision, because really ultimately today there's two paths. You can keep DIYing it, or you could just keep ruminating on what you've learned in the challenge, etc., and see how you go, or you can make a decision to really focus and prioritize this between now and the end of the year. And there will be results between now and the end of the year. That's what we're all going to be working towards. That's what I'll be supporting you to get, and the cohort as well. Typically, I would say about maybe 40 to 60% of students get results during the program timeframe itself. And then maybe another 30% of students, it takes maybe another 4 to 6 weeks, sometimes a little longer. It can take up to 6 months to see those results, depending on how quickly your human resources department works. Sometimes at big companies, it just takes a bit longer because of the process. But there are ways that we talk about in the program as well about how to fast track that, right? About how to keep on top of people and have that continued follow-up cadence to make sure that it's front of mind, which is one of the questions that we get through a lot is like, if my boss has been sitting on my pay increase for 6 or 7 weeks and nothing's happened, what do I do, right? So we help you navigate through that. Questions. Okay. Maybe if there's questions, you can send them to me in the chat and I'll get to those for you. From a tweet-sized response, a short and snappy response, like Lucy, what would you say to anyone who's kind of on the fence today about joining or not? What would your tweet-sized piece of advice be for them?
I mean, I would say that when you ask yourself, it's like, what has been your roadblock up until this point? And really look at how you've been trying to resolve it before, So I think oftentimes it feels like, it's good to be self-sufficient, but I found that, it is a really different space when you start moving up the ladder, especially as a woman, because it does get more lonely. And it does feel very different. And you start needing to making space for yourself and others like you. And there's no direction. That defining the success on how to do that is also completely different than my male colleagues. I can't ask any of them because it would be just different and it would be not right for me. And not right for anyone that wants to follow suit in my path too. So I would say, ask yourself, it's like, hey, what is the struggle that you have? And like, do you feel like the resources around you is what is going to get you there? Because I felt like, okay, definitely not. I need to spend the money. I really love working with Meggie. She's really brilliant. And I really love the perspective that she brings and curating the content consistently. So that consistency really helped me practice what I needed to get to the next step. So I'm really grateful for you and the rest of the cohort that's been with me. And I really hope everyone can take that reflection. And if your answer is like, no, I think I got everything I need, just make sure that you're sure of that. Because it's okay to say no, but make sure it's an empowered no.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Lucy, and I appreciate all the impactful work that you're doing within your business too, from a diversity lens too. I also I should have said this, I don't speak about this a lot because I'm not really into like the schmarmy, like, I don't know, like the whole marketing thing of the course. It's not really my jam. Like for me, I just like to be very upfront and very practical in the terms of the course itself and also in the way that we talk about it. But one thing I will say is for people who are like, ugh, I don't know, I'm not sure about it. We also have a 7-day refund period. So you can also join the program and you can join the first 2 calls. And if you're like, I don't think this is my jam, then you can just let me know and we'll send you a refund, no problem. So that's another thing just to kind of help, because I understand that it is an investment. And so the other reason we do that is just to kind of help support you in that decision-making process to make sure it's the right fit. Because if it's not the right fit, I'm not in the business of kind of holding a gun to your head about it, right? But I'm confident it will be the right fit, but sometimes you just sort of need that extra reassurance. So that's one extra good thing to help support that decision for you. And again, if you're going to think about joining, you may as well do it today so that you get access to the 2 bonuses as well. The salary negotiation Bible with those 40 scripts, and then also the boundaries without being seen as bitchy video series. Carmen, for you, what would your piece of advice be for someone who's like, I'm on the fence, I'm not sure if I should jump on in? What would you say?
Yeah, I think I think it's worth the investment to take the plunge. I really do. I think, as I said before, like sometimes you do need to spend a little bit of money to learn the right skill sets and to invest in yourself. And as Meggie said before, yeah, you could Google it, you could watch some YouTube videos, you could TikTok videos or whatever, but being able to put the information together in the right formula, I guess, is really what you learn within this class, and the ability to bounce ideas off of your cohort as well. And then even once the class has ended, you still have access to the Slack channel and can, post questions or again, bounce ideas off or seek feedback from others that have gone through. And I think that's a valuable aspect of the course as well.
Yeah, that's such a great point that you get access to that in perpetuity. So you have lifetime access to all of the curriculum, all of the videos, all of the toolkits, all of the calculators, all of those templates, scripts, workbooks, etc., which is super powerful. Siska, from your perspective, and I want to acknowledge too, I'm a new mum. I've got a 4-month-old Hugo who is out walking at the moment, not on his own, with his father, but about 20, I reckon it may be 25% of the students, no, maybe 20% of our students are also actually women who are on maternity or parental leave and returning to the workforce. And probably 30 or 40% of our students, maybe even more, actually have children. Siska, for you, the course and the impact that it had on you, making sure that you could find that balance with your family was really important. What would you say to anyone who's thinking about joining, but who has family commitments as well? And so that, they're just kind of a little bit concerned about the time commitment or whether they'll be able to sort of juggle it all. At least I hope Hugo's not walking on his own at 4 months old. He is trying to crawl though. Maybe he's a genius child. Let's see. But Siska, I think you're on mute. I'm not sure if you're off of mute. Because I think, the confidence piece on maternity leave is something that I hear a lot. And you can let me know in the chat if this is something that's coming up for you too. Being out of the workforce can make you, question your ability and your confidence. It shouldn't, and we'll talk through strategies to address that in the course. But Siska, what would you say, to people who are parents or caregivers who are sort of concerned about the time commitment?
So during my time, I had to wake up earlier, and my cohort probably know that here and there, my son started to wake up early as well, and then had to join the call with us. So I would say is investment on yourself. I think it's commitment. Again, it's because it's replay, you can catch up later. I sometimes miss the call also, but you still can do it. I think it's the decision, it's conscious decisions that you want to make for yourself, whether you want to do it or don't want to do it. And the fact to me is, if you are already in the call or taking up that 5-day challenge, there's somewhere at the back of your mind, subconsciously, you want to change. And yes, obviously the monetary side of it kicks in, but think about it like it's investment for yourself. And no one else can make the decisions for you. It doesn't matter like how good the course or the product is. It's your decision. And for us here, the previous graduate want to see you success. It's something that say a lot about the course. I don't think Meggie need to get the big broadcaster. We are the real result from the program. That's what I want to say.
And I love that. And thank you for being here. And that's one of the reasons why I think, I can tell you why I think it's valuable and the results that we've seen from the hundreds of graduates, but it's so much more powerful for you all to hear it directly from the graduates themselves. Everyone has a different experience, right? And everyone takes different things from the program. I will tell you, we had one student, I think she joined maybe 2 cohorts ago. She turned up for 2 sessions. That's it. And I was like, oh no, that poor woman, maybe she didn't like it. What's going on? And maybe 3 months later, she sent me an email and she's like, thank you so much. She got a new role in Bermuda. She transferred from one country over to Bermuda, tax-free. We love that for her, but it was a massive jump into the executive, reporting directly to the CEO of a listed pharmaceutical company. And she was like, I got what I needed from your course. I got what I needed. They were trying to bully me around. And one of the calls, I talked to her about a structure and reframing the conversation to be from a place of power. She was like, I took your advice, I put it in place, and this is what's happened. Me and my 3 children, we're moving, this amazing new job, this fancy new house, et cetera, et cetera. So it's really interesting, you know, what people are looking for in the program is different for everyone. Some people just want one little nugget and that's what they're looking for. Other people will be there for every single call. They'll stay late. They'll be slacking me every week, which I'm very excited to hear from you. You know, we have a private Slack channel as well. So you have that sort of personalized contact from me every week too. So, you know, you can take from the course what you need and leave what you don't, you know, and it's all there for when you'll come back to it as well. We had another student who's going for a new job. She graduated 18 months ago and she's just re-logged in to re-go through the salary compensation checklist to just make sure that she's asking for all of the non-monetary benefits that are available to her too. So that's kind of nice that you always have access to that. Leah, for anyone on the fence, from your perspective, what would your 10 cents of advice be for people who are like, will I, won't I?
Oh, if you're on the fence, take the leap. Just take the leap, you know, just Nike it and just do it. I wish I would have done it earlier. And, you know, I'm happy that I did, but I wish I could have like told myself, oh, Leah, you should have done it the first time you were thinking about it.
It's interesting you said just take the leap and do it. One of my favorite quotes, Leah, I don't know if I've ever told you this, is leap and the net will appear. That's one of my favorite career quotes because I love kind of taking a leap of faith, but it's my hope that the career level up will be that net, you know, leap and the net will appear, and we're the net. We're going to catch you on the way down and on the way up. In fact, we'll catch you on the way down and then catapult you back up to get into that next pay band, that next promotion level, maybe even a whole new industry. You know, we had Jane in the program maybe a year ago too. She was in the retail industry. She dreamed of working in tech and she's like, I could never do it. How could I ever make that transition? And she did with more money. She's now a product manager, which is pretty bananas and pretty exciting to see. Yvonne, I might leave you with the last word. You and I met through an amazing community in America, which is really focused on women of color in leadership positions. That's how we met, and we've been working together ever since. What would you say to someone who's thinking about reaching out to work with me, to join the program? What would you say to them? What do you wish someone had said to you, I guess, 6 months ago before we'd met?
So I think for me as a woman of color, Latinx, we are a URM at any company. And I felt that I didn't have anyone to really speak to and share my frustrations and bounce ideas off of and get a new perspective. And for me, Meggie has helped me do that. We talk through whatever I'm thinking, any concerns, maybe potential barriers, and she gives me a way to think about things differently so that I can just look at things and keep moving forward in my career. And she's given me that confidence to really be in a room, lean in, and you know, folks have really noticed the difference, and I feel myself very confident. And it's not something I felt before. I questioned my abilities before, and now I say, nope, I believe in my abilities. Yeah. So Meggie's amazing, hands down. I say take the leap as well.
Well, I so appreciate our students taking the time out of their very busy days. Thank you. They're very busy schedules. I know that you're all incredibly successful, high-flying women, professional women, and we're grateful to you all today for sharing your perspectives. Thank you. And thank you to everyone else who's joined today to take the time out to learn more and to understand about the impact that the Career Level Up can have for you and your specific circumstance as well. I've popped the link in the chat to join the program. If you've got any questions, you can always send me an email as well. I'll put my email in the chat too. But the doors close to the program this Friday and we start next week. So we're just jumping right into it. You'll all graduate before Christmas so that you can really take advantage of this end of year quarter and then really step into 2023 with a new perspective and hopefully a new pay packet and potentially a new job too, if that's what you're looking for. But thank you to all of our graduates. I so appreciate you. If anyone's got questions, you can drop me an email. The link to join the program is in the chat. If you join us by close of business today, there's 2 special bonuses coming your way, a video series about putting in place boundaries as an executive female and not being penalized for that. And then also an amazing salary negotiation Bible, which has got 40 plus examples of how to handle different scenarios. Any questions, you can reach out to me, but I hope everyone has a brilliant rest of your evening, morning, wherever you are in the world. And I will see you all in the program. Thanks so much to the graduates. I'll speak to you in the Slack channel and we'll see you all in there soon. Thanks, y'all. Take care. Bye.